Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So today I wanted to kind of do a review on a knife that I've had for a little while. This is the LT Wright Gen 5. So it's basically an extended version of the Genesis, which is, I believe that's their first like production knife that they had. This thing has a broomstick style handle, so it's super comfortable for carving and stuff like that. A2 tool steel, 90-degree spine, Scandi grind, full tang. I really dig it. Had it for a while, been carrying it a lot. Comes with that standard style sheath that all LT Wrights come with. The Bushcraft style sheath. This one I have a ferro rod on. And yeah, I'm just going to use it today, do some carving and stuff like that. I'm going to set up my shelter because we've been getting a lot of rain. As you guys, I don't know if you guys can still hear, it just stopped raining a few minutes ago. So I was thinking about maybe getting a fire going, setting up my shelter. I forgot to bring my aluminum tent stakes so I can carve a couple tent stakes using the knife, do some other stuff. There's a cool thing that I saw on Dave Canterbury, one of his videos. He did like a quick video on something that he made out of like a 3D printed. I'm gonna see if I can carve one out of wood. It was a pretty cool thing. So we'll just kind of mess around with the knife a little bit, have fun with it, do some bushcraft with it, and then I'll close out the video. Alright, so I went ahead and cut a piece of cedar, and I'm going to trim these off, all these extra branches that I don't need. And then what I'll do is I'll cut this in half, and that'll be my 2 stakes that I'm going to make, since I forgot my, I forgot my aluminum tent stakes. Going to kind of beaver chew around it just to get this last one off. Alright, there we go. Now I'm going to cut this thing in half and we'll start working on the actual tent stakes. Now remember, these things don't have to be perfect. You're not looking for perfection, you're just looking for functional tent stakes. So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to take this larger end. I'm actually going to carve it out, and then I want to kind of chamfer around the edge so when I pound this into the ground it doesn't split. Now that I have the top chamfered down at this at the top, now that I have the top done, I'm going to take my saw, just using my Baco here. I'm going to make a stop cut in this, probably about, I don't know, halfway down through it. You don't have to use your saw to do this. You could, honestly, you could use your knife if you want to do. If you wanted to use your knife, I just have my saw, so about halfway, or I don't know, a third of the way through it is fine. Then going to create a notch in here with my knife. So I'm going to come down like this, doing some push cuts right here, controlled push cuts into this, just like that. Sometimes I like to get in here and just clean it up a little bit with the edge of the knife. That's basically it right there. You guys can see that. And then at the end here, I'm just going to carve that into a point. It's literally that simple. This doesn't have to be, sharp enough to kill a vampire. It just needs to be, able to drive it into the ground. That's all you need. So something along the lines of that, and then I'll be able to hammer this into the ground with a baton And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna carve the other one, and I'm gonna start working on my setting on my tarp. So I have a bunch of videos on how to set up a tarp. I'm not gonna take you through the whole thing detailed. If you wanna watch those other videos, I'll actually put them down. I'll link them down in the description. But I'm gonna set up my tarp now. I'll use my stakes, and I'll show the whole process, but I'm not going to go through it in detail. You guys can go back and watch those other videos if you guys wanna learn how to correctly set up a tarp. Alright, now this is all set up, I can work underneath here and I have plenty of space. One thing I do like about this tarp over a lot of other tarps, especially poncho style tarps, this actually has a tie out in the middle, so I don't have to use like an acorn or something like that and tie around it. It's just a lot easier. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it sounds like more rain's coming. A lot of wind. The breeze does feel good, and it definitely cooled off. Today it's been really hot. Actually, every day is just really hot here this time of year. But it's been really, really hot today. I'm sweating, I'm dirty, and it's been raining off and on for about the last 2 hours. So this is kind of my idea. So I saw a video with Dave Canterbury. If you don't know who he is, he's like, I don't know, probably one of the most famous survival expert, bushcrafters, whatever you want to call him. He has a massive school in Ohio. It's one of the biggest schools in the country, probably the biggest survival school in the country. And he had like a toggle that was 3D printed out of plastic, it looked like, and it was attached to a piece of bank line, which if you ever have any like utility bank line in your pocket, I always carry utility bank line in my pocket. And this is a really cool thing because he could use it around camp. His actually had a hole drilled through it, and then he had like a stop knot on one side. It was kind of like this, like that. But I'm not gonna do that because I kind of want to make this all out of this knife. I'm gonna try and see if I can kind of recreate it with using this knife. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a notch around this side to hold the bank line, and then I'll carve on each side these little areas, because that was for almost like a pot hanger. And then you could drop this inside of your pot or inside of your bottle or whatever and kind of pull it up, and it would hold your bottle inside of, or your cup or whatever you're using inside over the fire. So that's kind of my idea. We'll see how it works. I don't know, let's just see if it's gonna end up working. So he had his hole in it all the way through on one side, which I thought was a really good idea because that allowed him to, when he lifted it up, it would just stand straight up and he could pull it right out of his bottle. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm just kind of testing that. Trial and error, if you will. I will say, just like all LT Wright knives that I've ever owned, the fit and finish is excellent on this. The handle's really comfortable. I really like the knife, but I don't think I've ever owned a LT Wright knife that I didn't like. I've owned quite a few of them over the years. Actually, I've owned a lot of knife brands over the years, and I find myself going back to LT Wright quite a bit. So I want to get this deep enough where it actually stays. Clean up the edges a little bit here with my blade. I think this is kind of a, because otherwise I would have to use like something to drill in here, and I don't want to use, like I said, I want to try and make this completely out of my knife. So this allows me to kind of do something similar to that the way it was done in Dave's video with that piece of 3D printed plastic, but this will allow me to kind of have something similar, but making it off the landscape. Alright, so that's kind of my idea right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's kind of my idea. Seems to be holding really well. It's not going anywhere. Nice and tight. And then I don't know if I'm going to have enough room to cut in here. Maybe I should just do, I think I might just do one pot hanger notch. I think he had one on both sides, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and watch the video, which I'm not going to do. But I think I'm just going to do one pot hanger notch on this side, so it won't be identical to what he had, but it's, you know, kind of similar. All right, so what you're going to want to do with this is you're going to do like an X into it. It's going to look something like that. And then you'll just start carving it. Let's try again. This time I'm going to be way more careful. One thing I like about A2, it's one of my favorite steels, is because it has good edge retention, excellent toughness, and it's really, really easy to sharpen or just touch up if you're in the field. A lot of the reason why I don't like to use, and I've talked about this in other videos, one of the reasons why I don't like to use super steels when I'm out in the field. I like them around town. They tend to be pretty excellent around town for EDC, but I don't really like them a lot when it comes to bushcraft knives and survival knives and stuff like that, because of the simple fact that when you're talking about those super steels, they tend to, at least in my experience, they have really good edge retention, but they don't, generally speaking, have the best. They're not easy to resharpen. Sorry, it's hard to concentrate while talking about this topic. So generally speaking, I don't carry them. I've owned quite a few of fixed blade knives, field knives, you know, survival knives and stuff like that in super steels, but I generally don't use them. And a lot of them I've traded or sold over the years because of that simple fact. It's just not something that I prefer. You know, your mileage may vary. Yeah, that's okay. If you like super steels for your field knives, that's great. I just don't personally like them. I've found that they take more to touch up and especially resharpen in the field. And you may not have that ability, especially where I live. There's nothing around here to resharpen a knife if I don't have like a leather strop or some sort of a sharpening, like whetstones or something like that. In a lot of, at least the areas that I frequent, there's nothing out here like that. We don't have fine river stones. We don't have a lot of that kind of stuff. It's mainly all mud and sand and lime rock and stuff like that out here. We don't have, it's not like living up north or out west where you can go to a creek and find, you know, something like that. So generally speaking, at least in my experience here in the state of Florida, and in general, honestly, even when I was traveling, I didn't use them a lot. I stuck with just regular high carbon steel knives, 01, 1095, stuff like that, A2. So that's what I'm looking for right there. Pot hanger notch. Clean it up just a little bit more, and then I think we should try it out. Alright, so I have 3 poles that I cut, and I am going to make a tripod. Now this is just going to be kind of a quick and down and dirty one. I just want to see if this will actually work, and then yeah, go from there. So we shall see. If you guys want to know how to make a tripod correctly, I'll have another video on that. Actually, I have a couple videos on that. I'll link them down below. Alright, so before it started raining, I actually collected some tinder. I like to do that when I get out in the woods. If I see a really good tinder source, like some palm fibers, cattail, cedar bark, that kind of stuff, I'll grab some of it and just throw it in my cargo pocket so I have it on me at all times. That's just what I did with this stuff. Now I have some. These are palm fibers. Stuff works really well. A lot of surface area, nice and dry. So I'm just going to process this down a little bit, get even more surface area, and then I have some cattail fluff that I've already processed. Get this down so it can take a spark, and I'll collect some dry-ish wood, whatever I can find, and we'll get this fire started. My tinder bundle right here. Alright, I got a mixture of both pine and oak here, as dry as possible. I got this ferro rod, it was gifted to me. It's from a company called Texas Bushcraft. They didn't send it to me, someone else sent it to me as a gift. I'm going to try it out. It fits really well in this knife sheath, so we'll see how it works as a ferro rod. Let's get scrape some of that coating off. Seems to work really well, that's for sure. Ooh. It worked pretty well. I don't actually have my stainless steel bottle, but as you can see, basically you would drop it down into the bottle like this, and then as you pulled it, it would attach inside the bottle like this. You could hang your bottle, and then when you loosen it, you could pull it right up because it's on one side. So that's kind of the concept behind it. There we go. Alright guys, so that's the video. Remember to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends and family. Be safe, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you in the next one.